Hey there, spiritual explorers. Today we're going to talk about the basics of intuition and how you can develop it. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kira Siva. I'm a spiritual healer and guide, helping all of you beautiful souls on the path of spiritual awakening. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. It's delightful to have you here. And if you haven't done it yet, don't forget to tap that notification bell so that you can be the first to know whenever I upload a new video. Okay, intuition. Let's jump in. So let's talk about intuition. Intuition is natural and we all have it. From business owners to the Secret Service to spiritual seekers. It's something that we are innately given. In order for you to be able to connect with this innate gift that you have, the first and foremost important thing to do is for you to develop the ability to listen to yourself, to listen inside of your beingness. You need this ability to listen so that you can interpret the different ways that your intuition is speaking to you. So if you have some questions about listening, I'll leave a video up here at the top that just talks about how to communicate with spirit guides, but really goes over how to listen really, really well, which is going to be a key skill that you need in your spiritual awakening journey. There are 4 different main ways that we could say intuition comes through, and there's actually more than this, but these are the 4 most common. And since this is a basic introduction to intuition video, this will get you started on the journey of developing and learning to trust the intuitive guidance you're given. These 4 different ways are just like our senses. So like we have, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, we also have our 6th senses that come through. This is going to be called the clairs. So today we're going to look at the 4 clairs. Now, while I'm still kind of digging into where the etymology of the word clairs came from, it does look like it is a French word that means transparent or clear. So any of the extra senses we're talking about today is really about having a clear experience of them. So clairvoyance, for example, is going to be clear seeing. We'll get into that in a minute. The 4 clairs that we're going to explore today are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. Before we jump into each one of these, I want to just say that when you're developing your intuition, while we're talking about these different avenues that you may be receiving messages from, the most important thing is that you just open yourself up, check inside, and give time for the messages to be received and to come through you. Clairvoyance is the ability to see clearly or to receive visualizations or visuals. Clairaudience is the ability to hear things, mostly internally or externally. Clairsentience is the feelings, so the clear feeling, and claircognizance is the clear knowing. You just get a knowing. Now, when I started to learn about intuition and building it, while I was focused on trying to figure out the different clairs and building them up and developing them, I would just say, wherever you're at, it's okay, and to really just open yourself up to experience whatever message needs to come through in the way that it needs to come through for you. You need to explore yourself to understand the way that messages come through for you. So for example, when I first started with intuition, I wanted to be clairvoyant so badly. I always heard of all these people with these really cool visions and I thought it was amazing and I just really, really wanted that. Well, that's not really how my main messages come through. I'm more clairsentient and claircognizant. I tend to just feel things or just know things. So when I was first learning, I had to really let go of the idea that I was gonna have amazing psychic visions all the time and it was gonna be so cool, and just realize that I am who I am, I have my strengths where I do, and it's more important to receive the intuitive messages than to try to force them to come through a specific channel. So my gift to you is just explore where your messages come through. You're gonna have a good understanding of the different clairs after the end of this video. so that you can really tune into them more and honor them more. A lot of times people actually don't have that hard of a time receiving intuitive messages. They have the hardest time trusting that they've received intuitive messages. And this is where you're going to start building in those little games with yourself and feedback loops so that you can really build up your intuition and your experience of that. So before I dive into each of the clairs, I just kind of want to go over a couple of the things that I used to help me build my intuition. And these are offered to you to help you build yours. They're pretty fun and they're easy. I used to take myself on intuitive drives. I would just allow myself to get in the car for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and I would just follow the feeling. Wherever I felt my gut should turn. Should I turn right? Should I turn left? Should I go down here? I just allowed myself to take these intuitive drives so that I could feel the pull of my intuition, that I could tune in to where I thought I should go and play with that space in between where your mind is chattery and where your body is tugging and pulling, or the impressions that you get from your intuition. Another way that I used was intuitive eating, which now is like a whole eating style, but back when I was practicing this, I didn't know that was a thing. So I would just practice eating what felt the best for my body and really just tuning in to feel, okay, does this feel right? Does this not feel right? Do I want this? Do I want that? And it was just this easy little game that I could play with myself so that I could start feeling the intuition more, that I could start recognizing when I was receiving intuition versus just when my mind was chattering. And the third way was really I just used intuition to help navigate my life. Much like your heart is a compass for your life in a certain way, your intuition is also there providing that guidance. It's showing you the things before you know that you need to know them. It helps guide you on the path when you don't know what the path looks like in front of you. So if you have big decisions, sit with them, tap into your intuition, tap into your heart space, and really use that to help you guide and navigate the directions of your life. I know people who have built businesses off their intuition. I know people who have made incredible lives just following their guidance from their intuition, which is super cool. And again, a lot of intuition is really just about your ability to listen to yourself. So with any of the things that we're going to go through with the specific ways intuition might come up for you, just know that one of the most important ways is about you becoming very present in the moment and your ability to have an inward awareness focus. Having this kind of focus and having this kind of listening inside of yourself is active. It's not necessarily passive. You're not falling asleep when you're looking inside. You're kind of scanning and seeing, okay, well, am I seeing a vision? Am I hearing something? And am I feeling something? And while you may not be like running these questions through your head, you just have this awareness that those are all ways that information may be coming through to you. So it's an active listening experience of being really aware inside. We're going to start with clairvoyance. I think there is a lot of hype around clairvoyance, and people love thinking about and talking about the third eye and having visions, and people go to great lengths to have visions. I really respect that, and I think that's cool. We rely very heavily on vision in our regular daily lives. So it's pretty reasonable to believe that that's something that people really want. I know I really wanted that, and I had to really adjust my expectations around working with my intuition and my spirit in this way. So clairvoyance is your ability to see visions. It is your mind's eye. And you're probably wondering, well, if I want to work on clairvoyance, how can I develop my clairvoyance? Now, these are all just ways that I have personally used. There are gobs and gobs of information out there for different techniques, but again, this is really about self-exploration. It's about trying things and seeing what works really well for you. The main way to develop your clairvoyance is to practice visualization. You want to practice actually keeping and holding images in your mind's eye. So say, for example, you are imagining an apple. You want to imagine the roundness of the apple. You want to imagine the shine of the light off the skin of the apple. You want to imagine the texture of the apple. You want to imagine the color gradient that happens between the red and the green and the yellow. You want to be able to imagine the woody little stem that comes up from the apple, and you want to hold that and look at it and try to look at it from all different angles and see how long you can hold that vision in your mind's eye. What you're doing is really strengthening your awareness and your control over your awareness to not get distracted, to not get lost in thoughts, and to not get lost in, other sensory sounds that may, or sensory experiences that are happening to the body. You want to be able to take your awareness and focus in your mind's eye and practice that visualization. Now you can do this with landscapes, you can do this with people, you can do this with objects. It's really just about this ability to hold an image in your mind's eye or in the third eye. Clairaudience, so the ability to hear clearly. Now I'm going to share with you my personal experience with it, and I know that other people out there are developed in different levels of this or ways of this, so I can only share what I've been through. When I've experienced clairaudience, I normally experience a voice inside of my own head. Sometimes it sounds like my own voice. Other times it will just be a word or a name, or I will get information, and it's often close to one of my ears. There have been only a few occasions in my life where I have heard things externally, and those were after some pretty big life events. So take it for what it is. I don't know, there's probably people out there that feel like they can hear externally, but I've really found that most of clairaudience for me has been internal messages, and they are words. So instead of seeing a picture, I'm hearing a sentence come through, I'm hearing a name come through, that kind of thing that's going on. So to develop clairaudience, my first recommendation for you would just be give your ears a break from noise, especially if you like listening to really rough music, or if you are in environments that are noisy, but noisy in a cringy way. You want to just give your ears a break. If you are in really loud environments and you're like, Kira, I have no way of getting out of a loud environment, thank you very much, then my next suggestion for you, which could apply to everybody, start listening for the silence. Make the goal of listening to listen for the silence. So if you're in a really noisy environment, say there's like a bunch of trucks beeping and construction's going on, listen for the little microscopic seconds of silence. You can also do this kind of listening in between thoughts, in between, if you watch a lot of entertainment, you can listen for the silence within those things. The silence itself carries messages. There is such tremendous wisdom hidden in the silence. So your ability to develop listening for the silence will help you hone in when you need to start listening to your clairaudient intuitive sense. Also, when we go, like I've been talking about listening, you want to go back to being able to just listen inside and having that space of silence within so that you can receive the messages coming through. I know it can be really difficult because a ton of people have a lot of mind chatter going on, and our minds, we're very undisciplined with our minds. We let them run all of the time. We don't know fully how to make them quiet and calm down and to stop talking, essentially, whenever we want them to, right? So you have to just learn to detach sometimes from your own words in your head and just listen for that silent part. Another way would be really just to listen to beautiful music or meditative music. You want to be pleasing to the exterior sense so that the interior sense can feel calm and relaxed and easy to allow the information to come through. Clairsentience. Clairsentience, the ability to feel clearly. So clairsentience is going to come through your emotions, but also like the physical sensations on your body and in your body. So again, you want to be able to develop this. You need to be able to have good body awareness, good ability to turn inwardly. You also want to be able to have a good ability of understanding your emotions when the emotions come up. The key part with the emotions is that when you become a good non-judgmental observer, it can be easier for you to understand yourself so that you can know when the emotion you're feeling is yours and when it is not yours. So this is really important as you're developing this and you're getting intuitive messages, because people have some very challenging feelings, and if you're not accustomed to feeling those challenging feelings and then you suddenly believe that's your feeling, you're gonna have a kind of a rough day. You wanna be able to allow your feelings to flow through. One very easy way of developing this is by observing all of your feelings and allowing them to come up and flow out of you, just like you would with thoughts and meditation. It really is just like doing that kind of meditation where you allow the thoughts to float by like clouds, as they say. You want to allow your feelings to do the same thing. So you do need to have a good allowance of having feelings and having them be able to flow. If you're someone that is really closed off in the heart, or you have been trained by society to not have feelings, or you've had traumatic events, or the world has told you and you've taken it as a belief to not feel, then this is going to take you a little longer to understand and to open up to, because we have to allow the feelings to flow in order to receive a lot of the messages from them. The other way through to developing this is to allow your body to experience the world tactily. So like you want to like feel the flow of the wind against your skin. You want to feel the roughness of a fence. You want to feel the slickness of the keyboard that you're typing on. You know, spend time being really connected with the world around you, and as much as you can be safe about it, touch a lot of the objects around you. Like really spend some time. How does a wall feel? How does a door feel? How do all of these different things around us feel? You're building up a much more pronounced library. Your brain is getting more information on the texture of things, so that when you get an intuitive sense, you have a much more tactile experience of the feeling. So if you're not going to have an emotional experience of feeling, you get a very tactile experience of the intuition and what the message trying to be given to you. A bonus one on this as well is when I did this, when I got really in touch with the world, my visualization capabilities actually got a lot stronger. And I know I saved it for this one down here, but if you've watched down here, here's your extra bonus. My visualizations got a lot stronger when I actually had more of a tactile experience or kinetic experience with the world. For whatever reason, maybe that's just because I'm more of a touchy-feely kind of person, it just helped me be able to see things and understand things a lot better. So maybe that'll be helpful for you out there if you have a little trouble with visualization. Claircognizance. Okay, so I'm just gonna admit, like, as I'm making this video, I wrote down really from my personal experience and not from what I just like looked up online. I wrote down things that I've actually been through. So claircognizance is one of those skills I've never put a ton of focus in actually developing, because it's always come naturally, spontaneously, and effortlessly. And that's the truth of how I've experienced this. So I was a little stumped at first on how to help you guys develop this. I don't actually see a lot of people talking about how badly they want this this clair, but it is such a powerful clair. And if you're on the spiritual awakening journey, I'm pretty sure you've already had experiences of just knowing. And as you go through this first part of the journey where there will be a time cycle in your journey where you are just, everything is like your spiritual knowledge and growth is speeding up really rapidly, and you just start knowing things. You know stuff about the way creation works. You have these experiences of like, oh, I'm super clear on this point in creation that I was really studying, whether it could be anything. I can't limit that because it really can be anything. So I guess the way to develop this that I would encourage you guys to do is really have a spiritual practice that you feel like you're actually making progress with. Not every spiritual practice out there gives us the growth that we need. We don't always have the right teacher or the right, mantra formula or just the right practice for us. So if you haven't found it yet, keep exploring, because once you find that and once you get this momentum with your growth, you will just start experiencing knowing things about creation and the universe and how the world works. I've also experienced this knowingness with just doing one-on-ones with people. When I'm working with people, helping them with their spiritual guidance or with a healing, session, even just talking with friends, this knowingness will just come up and it's in my gut. It's usually just very centered in my body. And the amazing thing about knowingness is that nobody can take it away from you. You might live in a world where people are not very supportive of your spiritual life or practice, and when you have these experiences and you get this insight, you're like, I may not be able to argue you, but you can't take away the experience that I had. I know something about how all of this works, and that's an amazing gift to have. So to develop it, have a good, strong spiritual practice. And if you feel like you aren't really sure, where maybe you could find one of these, just connect with me in the comments. I'm always happy to chat about that kind of stuff. And those are the 4 clairs that typically people talk about. I'm not going to get complicated and go into the other ones because, again, this is a basic, basic guide to intuition. And the most important thing is that you learn to just practice often, that you're just checking in regularly, and that you take the intuitive guidance, you take the nudges and pulls, and you walk in that direction, and you see what the reaction is back in your life. You can also think about it in the times when you know that your gut has been like, no, don't do that thing. Don't date that person. Don't take that job. Don't go over there. Don't do this thing. And, I want to say 100% of the time, but I don't know your life. But pretty much every time you have found that you should have listened to that. So make sure that you also recognize all of the times when you didn't listen to it, so that you remember, okay, well, I felt this way. I knew I should do this. And this time, when I feel that way, I'm going to do the thing that my intuition's telling me to. Don't kind of like pinhole yourself into, I'm only going to receive visualizations, or I'm only going to hear the message. Be really open with your intuition on realizing that you can have the message come through any of the clair senses. And really, if you want to boost it up a lot, have a strong meditation practice and have a strong spiritual practice that helps you actually evolve on your spiritual awakening journey. That is going to be a really huge key in helping boost your energy up. You want to help your nervous system become more sensitive. You want to become more sensitive to the subtle world that is around you. And that's it for your basics on intuition. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below, and visit me over on my Instagram page and TikTok. And if you are confused or unsure about where you're at in your spiritual journey, or you feel just a little lost, because heck, that happens to all of us, or you want to develop your intuition at a much deeper level and you need specific guidance to help you understand your intuition and the messages you're receiving and if they're accurate, feel free to schedule a one-on-one spiritual guidance session with me below. I'll leave a link in the description box. And until next time, have a beautiful and blessed day.